The Cubic Duel. Act 1. The Unsolvable Riddle. The whispers in the academies and marketplaces of Renaissance Italy spoke of an unconquered peak, solving the cubic equation. Expressed simply as when the cube and some things together equal a number, find the unknown thing. This puzzle had stumped the sharpest minds for centuries. Simple linear equations were trivial, quadratics mastered long ago, but the cubic stood defiant. Luca Pacioli, a respected scholar, had etched the prevailing despair into print in his widely read Summa de Arithmetica, 1494. He deemed finding a general solution as impossible as squaring the circle, concluding that the mathematical arts of the day simply weren't equipped for such a task. This mathematical fortress seemed utterly impregnable. Yet Pacioli was mistaken. The siege would be broken not in quiet university halls, but through the cut and thrust of public intellectual combat. Algebra, often seen merely as a practical tool for merchants, was about to become a dueling sword. The opening salvo came not as a polite academic query, but as a public challenge dripping with audacity. In 1535, Antonio Maria Fior, a Venetian mathematician of limited renown, threw down the gauntlet before Niccolò Tartaglia of Brescia, a man known for his sharp intellect. The terms were stark: 30 problems posed by each, 30 ducats forfeited by the loser for each unsolved problem. This was no gentle exchange of ideas. It was mathematical warfare. Fior's confidence wasn't born of genius, but of guardianship. He held a secret, a method for solving a specific type of cubic equation, inherited from his master Scipione del Ferro of Bologna. Del Ferro had discovered it years earlier, but, following the secret of customs of the time, shared it only with Fior before his death in 1526. Fior's challenge was a calculated ambush, banking on Tartaglia's ignorance of this hidden key. Reputation, riches, and pride were all staked on the outcome. Act 2. The Contenders. Niccolò Tartaglia, the Scarred Mind. Niccolò Fontana, better known as Tartaglia, the Stammerer, bore the physical and psychological marks of a brutal age. A childhood facial wound inflicted by French soldiers during the 1512 sack of Brescia left him disfigured and with a permanent speech impediment. Denied the paths of privilege, he became fiercely self-reliant, his formidable intellect his only true weapon. He had forged a reputation through sheer brilliance, recently publishing groundbreaking work on the curved trajectory of cannonballs. When Fior's challenge arrived, Tartaglia possessed no known method for solving cubic equations. Yet, fueled by a pride honed by overcoming adversity, he accepted. As he might later reflect, the contest was not about ducats, but about the principle that mathematical truth should not be hoarded like a tradesman's trick. For a man whose speech often failed him, the clear, irrefutable language of mathematics was his most potent voice. Antonio Fior, the secret's keeper. Where Tartaglia was an innovator, Fior was a custodian. His potential legacy rested not on original discovery, but in the careful deployment of Del Ferro's guarded secret. In Renaissance Italy, mathematical secrets were assets, bargaining chips used to win public contests and secure the favor of wealthy patrons. Del Ferro had played this game, keeping his formula close. Fior inherited both the formula and the strategy. Keep it hidden, use it to win, build renown on the failure of others. As the contest date loomed, Fior meticulously crafted his 30 problems. All converged on a single point, the specific cubic form x superscript 3 plus mx equals n, the very tight Del Ferro's method could crack. His aim wasn't to advance mathematics, but to crush his opponent under the weight of a secret advantage. The Venetian stage. The duel electrified Venice. Bets were laid in the piazzas. Students argued the odds near the Rialto Bridge. Patrons observed keenly, knowing victory could secure prestigious appointments. In this era, mathematics was public spectacle, a high-stakes performance with tangible rewards. Fior, armed with his inherited key, felt secure. How could this scarred outsider from Brescia possibly unlock a secret that had baffled minds for ages? Act 3. The Countdown. As the contest began in February 1535, Tartaglia stared at Fior's 30 challenges. The pattern was blatant. all variations of x superscript 3 plus mx equals n. Fior's secret weapon was clearly aimed at this specific target. Tartaglia had no such weapon. What followed was not leisurely contemplation, but a crucible of intense intellectual struggle. For weeks, Tartaglia wrestled with the problem. Then, in a stunning burst of focused creation spanning 8 days, culminating on February 13th, mere days before the deadline, clarity struck. He later described it as a moment where shadows dispersed. Working under intense pressure, driven by competitive fire, Tartaglia not only rediscovered the solution for Fior's chosen cubic form, but pushed beyond it, finding ways to tackle other types Del Ferro hadn't addressed. To safeguard his breakthrough, he veiled it in verse, a common practice for valuable knowledge. When the cube with the things near equates itself to some discrete number, find 2 others. Subtract the cube roots. This difference will be your desired value. His mind battled with the cumbersome language of verbal algebra, making the intellectual leap even more impressive. On the appointed day, the lists of problems were exchanged. Fior's 30 questions confirmed his narrow strategy. Tartaglia's, in contrast, presented a diverse mathematical landscape, geometry, number theory, varied equations, showcasing a mind of far greater breadth and depth. The difference was stark, one man wielding a single borrowed dagger, the other revealing a self-forged arsenal. Act 4, the verdict. The resolution was swift and brutal. In about 2 hours, Tartaglia, applying his newfound methods, systematically dismantled all 30 of Fior's cubic problems. Fior, facing Tartaglia's varied and challenging questions, froze. He solved none. Not one. Within the contest's allotted span, his secret weapon proved utterly insufficient against true mathematical breadth. He was not merely defeated, he was routed. News of Tartaglia's landslide victory swept through Venice. The impossible had been achieved, not in quiet solitude, but under the spotlight of public competition. Pacioli's pronouncement lay shattered. Tartaglia was instantly hailed as a new kind of mathematical hero, the self-made outsider who stormed the ancient fortress. In a gesture that spoke volumes about his complex character, Tartaglia publicly refused the 30 ducats prize money, declaring the victory was about demonstrating the difference between genuine understanding and hollow, secretive posturing. He now held the most sought-after mathematical secret in Europe. He guarded it fiercely, not for petty contests like Fior, but intending it as the crowning jewel of a future book that would cement his legacy and attract powerful patrons. But such potent secrets rarely stay contained for long. Act V, echoes and shadows. Tartaglia's fame spread, reaching Milan in the years of Gerolamo Cardano, a brilliant, ambitious physician, gambler, and scholar of insatiable curiosity. Unlike Fior's direct challenge, Cardano's approach was one of calculated charm and relentless persuasion. He saw Tartaglia not as a rival, but as a gatekeeper to knowledge he coveted. Cardano began a campaign of correspondence and encounters, layering flattery with promises of influence and introductions. He played on Tartaglia's desire for recognition and security. The culmination came during a meeting in Milan in 1539. Binding himself with a solemn oath sworn upon a Bible, never to reveal what he learned, Cardano finally convinced the wary Tartaglia to disclose the secret of the cubic solution. Tartaglia shared his hard-won discovery, perhaps believing the sacred oath would protect his priority. It was a moment heavy with consequence, a transfer of knowledge under duress and sworn secrecy. Such oaths, however, especially when guarding revolutionary secrets sought by ambitious men, often prove fragile foundations. The fate of the cubic solution and the ensuing storms of priority and publication were now irrevocably set in motion, though the full drama was yet to unfold. The secret was out, and the world of mathematics would never be the same.